friends, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, we are back, and we are going back to the Fifth Doctor era, and we are looking at The Awakening. This is the second series of season 21, and when we get into Doctor Who news, we'll be talking a little bit more about that season. But it's going to be a great episode talking about the Fifth Doctor, Tegan, and of course, Turlough. God, Turlough. So it'll be very interesting to do. Got a great crew with us tonight. Of course, welcome. Our guest tonight is Dave West. Welcome back, sir.
It's good to be back. It's been far too long, but I things get busy. The schedule gets jam-packed. But when you reached out and asked me, hey, would you like to come on and pick an episode to watch? Or excuse me, a story to watch? That's how long it's been since I've talked about Doctor Who. I was thrilled. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, it was like, wait, is this just not one storyline?
Well, it's barely more than an episode.
Yeah. No, that's
and thank
true.
Goodness for that.
Oh, very much so. I was thinking the same exact thing, my friend. You want to tell everyone a little bit about you, because we have some new listeners, because
absolutely.
You're the original co-host of the show.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I was way back in 2012. You guys invited me to be part of Earth Station Who.
Yep.
After we had done one episode on Earth Station 1 before Earth Station Who was a thing. And of course I said, yes, I'd love to talk about Doctor Who. And we spent 100 episodes hanging out, having fun. And then I kind of branched off, did a bunch of other things. So now I'm running the Needless Things YouTube channel, which also has the Needless Things podcast, Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. Just having a good time doing lots of different things. But again, very happy to be back here.
Oh, it's great to have you, sir. You've been missed. A lot of people still ask us, is Dave West joining back on the show? I think when we're at cons, that's one of the biggest questions we always get. So,
I would love to come back more often.
Phantom.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I would love to come back more often for a classic story from time to time.
And you are always welcome. Just say, Faber, I want to be up on the show. And you are always like, you have a place here.
As it stands, I don't think we're going to get anything new for a while.
Yep, exactly.
Apparently not.
Exactly. And that was Mr. Mike Gordon. So we might as well say howdy to our regular crew. Let's, of course, say hi to Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How are you, sir?
I am peachy keen.
You ready to talk some Fifth Doctor?
Fun to have the band back together in some form.
Well, it's kind of weird because we're crossing the streams a little bit. Because didn't Dave regenerate into Mary?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's
I think I
correct.
came on after Dave left.
Yeah,
exactly. And we couldn't have picked we could never replace you, Dave. You know that. But Mary has done an amazing job, and she's family now, so it's perfect. It's wonderful.
The moment
to have
had been prepared for.
Exactly.
Well, it just so happens we're reviewing a story that the past mixes with the present. So
that is so darn
How
true.
timely of us.
yeah. It's like we planned it.
Very much so. Very, very much so. Of course, Mary Oglow's here.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And last but never least, Melanie Dean.
Everyone, I can't wait to chat Who with you.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. It's the best way to get in touch with us. And folks, if you get a chance, please like and subscribe. We're starting to hit it early because, we have gotten quite a few new subscribers. We've gotten a lot of, feedback lately, on Facebook. And also, we have our regular emailer who sent us another review of our last episode. So we're going to hear from Peter. So it's going to be great.
Yay, Peter.
So it should be awesome. And we should actually be happy to announce officially that we are going to be at Pensacon 2026. And Mary and I will be representing the ESW podcast. And hopefully that's where we met Peter last year during the show. And so we don't know yet what time or when we will have a panel, but there will be a Doctor Who panel this year. So I think our topic's going to be Doctor Who, what happened, or something like that.
What's going on?
What's going on? Because we don't know. So it should be a ton of fun to do. And it's Pensacola is always a great town to visit, and Pensacon is one of our favorite shows. So it should be a lot of fun to do. And you know what? It's going to be great to see all these smiling faces, as always. All right, Doctor Who news. We don't really have any Doctor Who news. The only thing we actually, because we're not talking at all about the war between the land and the sea, because the first 4 episodes have already aired in the UK. Yes, we know, and I've been staying away from spoilers, and that has been tough because the folks over there have been talking about it, and everything I've been seeing has been very positive, but haven't been reading into it, and it's going to be a lot of fun once we can get it. I know next week is going to be next Sunday, I think, or Saturday. It's the final. So they're going to be done. So they're going to be in the wilderness years, just like us. So, ha 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 ha. So the only thing news-wise that came out was that BBC did announce another box collection. This time they're doing Peter Davison season 3 on Blu-ray, or in the UK, it's going to be known as Peter Davison season 21. It is not yet available for pre-order here in the States, but you can pre-order it on Amazon UK. So, check it out if you're into that kind of stuff. Some people who are upgrading, like myself, as the, box sets come out, I've been, trading in the DVDs and such that I've had, because I had the full run of them. And, it's nice to have a little bit more room in the house and not being totally flooded with Doctor Who, shelf after shelf after shelf. So it's kind of cool. So it's neat to see. We'll let you guys know when it is available. And, for pre-order here, we'll have a note up on probably our Facebook group. And if you haven't signed up for our Facebook group, please do. It's a great place to get Doctor Who news and, just talk and everything. And as things, happen, and, we should be starting to hear stuff. There's rumors and blah, 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 but we don't try to talk about that here. So with that being said, I think it is time to put Dave West into the Whovian Geek Seat.
Oh,
yes.
no.
Oh, yes. Ooh, he experienced the Geek Seat on Earth Station 1 years ago. But, this is to find out what kind of Whovian he is.
The scars healed.
We've got to refresh.
Exactly.
Strap me in. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. Dave, who was your first Doctor?
It's funny. I have probably answered this by saying Tom Baker countless times in my life, but that goes against the story that I'm not going to repeat it here because I've told it so many times. But really, my first Doctor was John Pertwee, because the first thing that I saw was the 5 Doctors when it aired live on Thanksgiving in the United States. So technically, even though I didn't know what I was watching at the time, John Pertwee was my first Doctor.
Interesting.
Because he was the first thing I saw he was the first one I saw on screen in the battle between him and the assassin droid. Well, it's not really a battle between him and the assassin droid. It's the Cyberman and the assassin droid with John Pertwee watching. But he was the first Doctor I ever laid eyes on.
Interesting. How did you find Doctor Who? Was it just because you were flipping channels and you saw a robot fighting another robot or something?
Well, that was basically it. We were it was Thanksgiving Day, and we were at my aunt and uncle's in North Carolina. I would have been 7 years old, and the second we're done eating, I don't want to hang around with all these old people, so I go back to the back bedroom and just turn the TV on, and that's exactly what it was. As I was looking for something to watch, and saw this terrifying, android, but really terrifying person in a silver bodysuit with a javelin, and it got me. And so I watched the rest of the 5 Doctors at that point, and then a year or so later caught Tom Baker on PBS, and that's what hooked me in.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. When you saw it originally, the series, did they have it by the episodes, or did they have it all per storyline?
No, PBS in Atlanta would show the entire story Saturday night at 11 o'clock. They would air the entire story. So I didn't even know until years later that they were broken up into, the 22-minute episodes like we're going to be talking about tonight. It was like every week I had this whole new movie to enjoy with these familiar characters and crazy. The first Tom Baker story I saw was the Terror of the Zygons with the Loch Ness Monster. That was the first one I saw. So with between this very interesting guy and this wild scarf and everything, and the fact that the Loch Ness Monster was in it, because when I was a kid, I could not get enough of cryptozoology. So, I mean, that got me.
Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. So that's not a bad episode to start with, actually.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. You get to see.
Imagine if I'd started with the Aztecs. Who knows where we'd be now?
Oh, that could be really scary. Really scary there. Which doctor would you want to travel with?
Matt Smith.
Really, the 11th.
And I can't identify them by number anymore because I know something changed somewhere. So I'll just say Matt Smith. I think he's the guy I would get along with the best, personality and worldview wise.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. So, because of your personality, you just think you'd mesh, or just
just from watching his episodes, I think the way that his doctor is, that's the one I would get along best with, have the most fun with, probably have the best conversations with. Just thinking about it, he was the one I think he'd be a party.
Yeah, I could totally get that. Totally get that. What doctor would you not want to travel with?
William Hartnell. Not to dump on the OG, but my gosh, his stories just take forever. I feel like I'd be so bored traveling with him.
You get to meet Marco Polo, and you get to meet,
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you. Take me to outer space. I would like to meet some sentient amorphous blobs, not a bunch of white guys in eyeliner.
Got it there. What geeks you out the most about Doctor Who?
When you can see the passion that goes into making it. One of the reasons that Classic Who has stuck with me the way that it has all these years is every single story I've ever watched from that 63 to 89 period of time. You look at it and you see the budget constraints, but you see these passionate actors. You see this crew of people bringing magic to life from very, very little. And it just gets me so excited. I've been watching, the Roku channel has a Doctor Who channel, and I've been watching it a ton lately. And just no matter what era it is. And that, by the way, that's why I'm kind of being a little mean about the first Doctor tonight. I love all Doctor Who, but a couple of his stories have been on, and I've just been like, well, these are just not quite as exciting as Disco John Pertwee doing Venusian Jiu-Jitsu. But all of it, it's all of that Classic Who is fantastic. And then, with the revival, it carried on for a while where it felt the same to me. And then, things changed. So when you can see the passion of the actors and the creators in it, that's what I love about it.
Totally get it. Totally get that. And that actually is a good lead into the next question. What turns your geek off about Doctor Who?
Gatekeeping fans.
Really?
Part of the reason I left ESW, if you were to dare voice, and this is not all fans, this is really just a vocal minority out there. But we got to a point where I was viewing certain portions of Doctor Who with a more critical eye, and people didn't respond well to it. And if you can't have open conversation about things, if you can't offer genuine criticism of things, then to me, that's not good for the fandom. But on the other side of that, you also have just plain haters out there. But really, in any fandom, those fans who feel like if you don't love it exactly the way that they love it, you're not a real fan. That just makes me sick. So I can't tolerate that in any fandom.
No, I was going to say it's getting worse and worse with all the fandom right now.
It is
You
that
know,
it's that tribalism that is really destroying everything.
we're biting off our nose to spite ourselves, basically. You know,
Hmm.
so I totally get that. Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
Joe Grant.
Really?
I think
Really?
she would be so much fun. She is always dressed to the nines. She is very, very, and this, we didn't really get this out of her character at first, but over time she developed and it turned out she's quite clever, very empathetic. Um, she has become really my favorite companion. I just think she's absolutely wonderful. She humanized, John Pertwee's doctor a bit, and also was one of the earliest companions to kind of not take the doctor's nonsense at times. Particularly Pertwee could be a little sharp with his companions. And she, again, as her character developed, she kind of stopped taking that sass in quite the same way. But I just think she'd be a blast. And like I said, she is always dressed just incredibly.
Hmm. No, I loved her, like especially in like the Three Doctors. She was able to figure out, I am me, you are like going for the Beatles song. And in the, I love it when the second Doctor says, "Oh, can you hum it? I could play it on my recorder," and everything. So it was always great. But she was great, and I even loved it when she came back in the Sarah Jane Adventures
Hmm.
and everything. And I loved it. And she said, "You forgot all about me." And and Matt Smith's doctor was like, "No, I followed you on the river. I followed you all the way all through the Amazon and helping the children." And she says, "Doctor, you did follow me. You do care." And it was just so great. So it was awesome. I love that. Which Doctor Who villain would you like to meet the least?
Cybermen.
Really?
Any kind of when I was like many my age, seeing Superman 3 and what happens to the sister at the end when the computer thing attacks her and starts turning her
Hmm.
into a cyborg. I mean, that was early nightmare fuel for so many people my age, and it stuck with me forever to the point where anything like that, any kind of combination of certainly an unwilling combination of flesh and mechanics in that way freaks me out. Can't deal with it. So the Cybermen are the scariest of Doctor Who villains to me.
Hmm. I don't disagree with that. Don't disagree with that one at all. What was your favorite Doctor Who geek out moment?
So again, as a kid, discovering Tom Baker, I'm there every Saturday night watching Doctor Who. And I don't know, this is probably, I would imagine this happened around 86-ish, because, we got them way later over here, and PBS wasn't necessarily broadcasting. I don't know what the timeline was. I've said many times on this show, I would love it if somebody had a programming guide from the Atlanta PBS station, just so I could see and get an idea of the time frame of what I saw when I was a kid, that kind of thing. So I had no idea about regenerations or anything like that, because even though I had seen the Five Doctors when I was younger, I think at that point I still didn't even really know that that was part of the same thing because of the, Tom Baker's barely in it. So when Tom Baker regenerated into Peter Davison, I was destroyed. It was heartbreaking to me. And, I watched Peter Davison's stories for a while. And eventually, now I quite like Peter Davison. And then Colin Baker came along. And by this point, I understood what the regeneration was. And like everybody else, I didn't like him at the time. And then I liked Sylvester McCoy quite a bit. And then at some point, and I don't know if we got the full run, I can't remember the sequence, but at some point they started showing Tom Baker stories again. And I remember it was The Leisure Hive, I think was the first one, like just out of nowhere, no sequence or anything. but I remember being so happy that they were showing his stories again. Uh,
Really?
and honestly, at the time, I might have even thought, "Oh, he's back" or something. I don't know because I again very unaware of broadcast order or anything like that at at that age. But just I remember Tom Baker being back was just the best thing ever. I was so happy. And then I think they stopped showing it. Or maybe they switched to John Pertwee. Something happened. They only did it for a few weeks, and then it switched to something else. So,
Gotcha.
but I remember that first one of him coming back. I was so happy.
No, agree with that. I can see why that. Tom was such a gateway for so many of us. And it was always interesting. And until Tennant came around as the 10th Doctor, whenever anyone mentioned Doctor Who or that he showed up on The Simpsons, Futurama, or any of those series, it was always Tom's Doctor and everything. So it was pretty cool with that. What was your most disappointing Doctor Who geek out moment?
So this I answered sort of incorrectly initially. I said when Tom Baker regenerated into Peter Davison, and that's just a disappointing moment for me in that time. But really, I think most disappointing geek out moment is maybe you're asking something that was supposed to be big and exciting and then just wasn't. And I think overall, it's when they announce the new Doctor or announce anything really before it happens in the context of the story. It's disappointing to have that drama taken away, or to say something like David Tennant is coming back. Like how awesome would that have been if it had just happened and we had no idea that that's what was happening? But I if I'm remembering correctly, by the time it happened, we kind of knew every detail of it. Like we knew what they were doing, what was going to happen. And that to me is a disappointing geek out when you don't get to experience it in real time and you have all this forewarning. And also it gives people too much opportunity to build up expectations and their own ideas about what it should be and what it could be rather than just taking it in for what it is.
No, totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
A showrunner who is able to tell great stories about great characters in the style established by classic Doctor Who.
Would you like to see like cliffhangers come back and everything like that, or at least two-parters and such?
I'd be open to anything as long as the focus is just on telling great stories with great characters. I don't want anything to happen because they feel obligated to build to a cliffhanger. I don't want anything to happen because they feel obligated to service fans or the old franchise in some way. I just want them to have a joyous, creative experience for us.
No, totally makes sense. I kind of agree with that. And it would be nice to get something fresh, something original, and something that somebody has a passion for. I agree. Well, sir, I'm very happy to say, once again, you've made it through the Geek Seat. Congratulations. Yeah, I could tell you were really working up a sweat on that one. Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young man what he's won.
You have won a lifetime subscription to the ESW podcast, which, technically you already have because you were a former host. So.
Yes. So there we go,
so
folks.
You're ESW for life.
Exactly.
Too sweet.
And folks, if you want to join in, we'd love to get more folks who possible to be part of the Geek Seat and be part of the show. Want to sit in with us? Please reach out, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So, you can always find us, feedback@earthstationwho.com. Best way to do it. Or just, message us on Facebook or anywhere else we're up. We have, definitely would love to hear from you guys. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment. And we are going to be looking at The Awakening. Welcome back. Now we are going back to January 19th and 20th of 1984. Wow. That's quite some time. Can't believe that's 41 years ago. And we are
When you
looking at
watch this, you could believe it was 41 years ago.
As I was watching this, I thought, oh my God, they did not have a budget for this episode. It was very, very low budget. And it was interesting to see. Let's get some initial thoughts about this one. As mentioned before, it was the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, and we have Janet Fielding as Tegan and Mark Strickland as Turlough. So we are, slowly making our way towards the end of the Fifth Doctor's era. And these are some of the better stories, though, of this era. And I'll be curious to see what folks thought about this one. Let's get some initial thoughts. Let's go ladies first. Let's go with Melanie first tonight.
I've never seen this episode before, so this was the first time for me to watch it. I will say that going in, I was never the biggest Peter Davison fan, or Davidson fan. Lord, I can never remember which way to get the mouthfeel on that one. If is it Davison or Davidson?
Davison.
Davison.
Just the 1D.
Because just the 1D. Okay, thank you. Terrible fan. Terrible Doctor Who fan. Anyway.
Bad Doctor Who fan.
Yeah. But
It's all right. Faber said Davidson for like 10 years. It's fine.
Okay, good.
I did. He was there to see it. And don't even ask him to tell me how I pronounce Logopolis the first time when we did that.
Did you do Logoopolis?
Kind of, sort of.
I don't remember what you said, but it was insane.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hope so. Okay.
Yes.
Back on track.
Okay.
So, with Peter, I wasn't the biggest fan of him because my father wasn't the biggest fan of him. For I was about a wee little Mel when I was watching this on PBS, seeing the Fourth Doctor, and I don't know how he was able to get episodes or what have you. Eventually, the timelines are all kind of weird in my head because I was at 82, I was 2 years old, and 84, I was 4. So I remember my Doctor Who was the time I got to watch the funny man with the scarf with a bright smile, and I loved watching it with my father. And I know that my dad didn't like Peter, so therefore I didn't watch Peter. And just because I'm a good little tater tot that was being molded, I also did not like him. Why not? So even becoming an adult, that just was in my brain already to be very hypercritical of his episodes. And I wasn't really a big fan. So there was episodes I never saw, this one in particular. So bar extremely low when watching this. And because of the show, I have been watching a lot of Classic Who, where I've learned the bar, bring it down a little bit, especially when the episodes become 4 to 6 episodes long, because the rating tends to go down. Because sometimes I've been on that it needs to be tightened up kind of thing.
You must have loved this, and it was only 2.
It was only 2. Yes. I'm like, this won't be nearly as painful, right? Okay, all right, I'll be optimistic. I actually enjoyed this. I saw it for what it was when we opened it up, and it's, they're all wearing their period clothing, and there's a phone booth, and there's this. Oh, we're just doing a reenactment. I'm like, I see you. Okay. We don't feel like we only have the budget for costumes. We don't have the budget to do much else when it comes to scenery, but we're just going to play it into the story. All right, fine. I actually enjoyed myself on this episode. Oddly enough, and I really liked Will. I liked how he came in from far away, and he kind of came in, and his part wasn't too out there. Granted, yes, the Lord was the Sir George, the kind
Sir
of
George, yeah.
Sir George,
Sir
the little
George,
mayor,
yeah.
he kind of
the magistrate.
The magistrate of the land. Man, did he chew every piece of scenery he could find. And you know what? I liked that. I liked it because he had the fancy ruffly collar. It felt right. But I liked everything about it. I actually really enjoyed this episode. So we're just gonna leave it there for now.
Okay. Mary.
I have liked this episode.
Okay.
Because
So what is half liking? I'm curious on this one.
because I really enjoyed the first episode actually. I thought they did actually a pretty good job of building things up and making it interesting and making you wonder what was going on in this weird little town where they're doing this reenactment. And it was kind of fun watching everybody run around. And then I felt like in the second episode it didn't go anywhere. Or actually it just went somewhere very pedestrian. And so you kind of knew what was going to happen and that's what happened. And so I felt let down by the story. And this is probably like one of the very, very, very few times you will hear me say this, especially about Classic Who, but I think it could have used another episode because
Wow. Wow.
because I feel like one of the reasons why the ending in the second part wasn't as good is that they were kind of rushing it. It was the writer initially wrote 4 episodes and they cut it down. There's a lot of going on behind the scenes with this one.
Hmm.
But so I feel like the secondary characters, some of whom were actually had a lot of potential, they just never got fully developed. You got no backstory. So you didn't care nearly as much about them as you could have. And I just felt kind of let down. So enjoyed the lead up in the first episode. Actually, this happens a lot in Modern Who too. In those two-parters. Really good lead up in the first one, and then the second one, speaking to you, RTD and Moffat, in both pretty much all your finales. Uh, Great lead up, and then it just totally goes off the rails and lets you down in the second episode.
No. Okay. That's totally fair. Dave, what about you?
So, have any of you ever seen a movie called 2000 Maniacs?
Yes.
It's a Herschel Gordon Lewis film from
Hmm.
1964, and it is about visitors to a small town in the South who happen into a Civil War reenactment.
Oh, I have seen this.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying this lifted from that in any way, but it reminded me of it in a way that just kind of made me laugh every once in a while. Imagine, because it is a wild, over the top. I mean, it's Herschel, if you're familiar with Herschel Gordon Lewis, it's a wild movie. So to sort of place that mentality in this story gave me a chuckle every once in a while. Mary hit on a lot of how I felt about it. So apparently the writer presented the story concept and they greenlit it, and then he couldn't fill it out to 4 episodes. And I think if he had been capable of giving some of these characters more story and establishing them a little bit better, uh, he could have built it out to 4, and we would have had an overall more satisfying experience. Because I agree, in the second episode, it does feel like, well, let's wrap this up. Like it doesn't feel earned or like we've really gotten anywhere. It just feels like we better get rid of this Malice character. Okay, he's gone. Everybody, bye bye. But I enjoyed Will. I thought Will, every once in a while you get to a supporting story specific character who feels like maybe they could have gone on to be a companion at least for a little while, and I felt like Will was one of those.
Mhm.
uh I it's so short that I feel like you almost can't help but have fun with it. It's not the best story, and it doesn't utilize its characters and its setting to the fullest. But yeah, it's, I mean, any Doctor Who that's under an hour, certain amount of good. And it had horses. Not a lot of
It,
Doctor Who has horses. Like this, Survival, a few others. So that was a neat thing to see. But again, I picked it because it was only 2 episodes, and I knew whatever the quality is, we'll have fun talking about,
Had you seen it
just a
before?
couple episodes. No, I had not seen this one before. And it's funny that you mentioned that Blu-ray set coming out, because I had to buy a fresh new copy of The Awakening on DVD for, $20, which is for Classic Who DVDs at this point. If it's something that's on the Blu-rays, you get it for $3, $5 maybe. But if it's not on the Blu-rays yet, you're still paying full price for it.
yep. That's true. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, Mikey.
Yeah, much like has already been talked about, the story is a mess. The premise is cool. like Mel and apparently her father, not a big fan of this era, as I've stated many times. So the John Nathan Turner era, I think, praise be to Chibnall over compared to John Nathan Turner in my book, right? So,
Wow. All
yeah.
right. Who had 44 minutes into the episode?
Hey, that wasn't a
not to
bash
say
on
ding,
Chibnall.
because I'm like, that was praise, though.
I know.
I mean, it was
That
I think
backhanded,
that
so
counts.
Yeah,
That
that
does
question
count. It
mark.
does count.
I mean,
Wow.
it's a low bar, but Chibnall would hurdles that one. So, and look, the thing about I always think of, I guess, just because of the way he looks and everything, I always think of Peter's doctor as being like a kinder, gentler doctor, and it really strikes me like like in the face when he's just rude, and he's rude a lot in this. Like he treats his
He
companion.
punches a horse.
Yes,
Yes, he does.
yeah, yeah.
Him and Mongo. Yeah.
He treats his companions like dirt, and granted, they're not my favorite companions. I mean, we're down my favorite of the three, right? Like so, because this is gone. I don't know how long she's been gone because I don't know what the context is for this, but in any case, it's just Tegan and Turlo, and it's like, oh, I'm not. Those aren't my favorite companions either. So it's a rough watch for me, and I'm glad it's two parts. But I will say, like Mary, this could have used another part because there's so much that's not explained. There's so many characters introduced that they don't do anything with. That guy with the messed up face appears in the first half. I don't think he appears in the second half at all, does he? Like he just
No.
He shows up in the church briefly.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then he transformed into one of the psychic ghosts or something like that. The one with the sword who was going to come after the doctor.
Yeah, there was some weird concepts here that I mean,
They didn't.
I
They
get
didn't
it.
go into it. They just like they're psychic ghosts or whatever. It was just like
I'm not a fan of the two Erics that worked on this. Eric Pringle wrote the script, and then Eric Seward, who was the sort of script editor at the time, and he did rewrites. Apparently they didn't get along because Eric Pringle didn't like Eric Seward's rewrite. So, because he said it made the story confusing and rushed, and I'm like, well, yeah, it is. So, but I think the big thing is that the takeaway is for me, like with this era, is that there's a lot of like good actors here, but the characters are not great. They don't spend time with them. We don't get to know them. That's the whole like beauty for Doctor Who for me is you get to meet interesting characters and characters that you feel for and you want to be actually like the shows that we've talked about where we've talked about characters that could have been companions and great companions. I mean, not during this era and certainly not during this story. But I will say in its defense that I did like the effects and the puppetry. I liked the obviously named Malice. Like, whoa, that's like right on the nose.
Yeah,
That's
never would
Malus.
have guessed where
Malus.
that came
Malus.
from.
Malus. Oh, I'm sorry.
Malus.
Malus. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I
that you-
loved it.
it was really, really subtle there. But I did like that imagery of him in the wall. Like, I thought he was really cool. And even like the little Malice puppet that was in the TARDIS was kind of interesting. Like, I did love that kind of stuff. Because it was, corny and fun.
I could have done without seeing him vomit as he was dying. You know,
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
I know. Yeah,
that was
clean
very
up,
Exorcist.
clean up on Isle TARDIS. Like, who's going to clean that up? It's not going to be Peter. I know that. It's not going to be the
good.
doctor.
It's going to be Turlo or Tegan. It's the doctor's not going to touch it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Turlo because he does all the dirty work, right? Like, so.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my stance on it. It's I'm glad it was just a two-parter, but man, it really kind of suffered because it was.
Yeah, it's interesting because I liked it, from the standpoint of feeling like I was at a Renaissance fair. It's the same kind of people that you see there, fully in character, and going toward, like, oh, don't break character, don't break character. You're living in the Middle Ages and in the Renaissance era. That's what I felt like these people were doing in this, and the only one who was sane in this were pretty much, like you had, Sir George, and who was this total psycho, but then you had Colonel Ben, and then you had Jane, who was like the school teacher, who was like, what are you guys doing? You're taking this all too far, and trying to, and it was interesting with that.
I think that's one of the problems, is that the reenactment didn't have time to escalate. Imagine if when we started the story, they were just having fun and it was, yay, it is Renaissance Festival. Everybody's enjoying it. This is just a fun time. And then over the first episode cliffhanger is the first time one of the reenactors gets too rough with somebody, because that bothered me throughout. Like, you guys are way out of line here. Are you? And they did kind of wave it away with the magistrate at one point, saying, "Well, I'm the magistrate. I'm sure I'll find myself innocent." But like, all of that could have been built up more and made more insidious of how it turned evil.
Exactly. And you could have even had it that the doctor and his crew didn't even show up until like the last 10 minutes of the episode.
Yes.
Or something.
Absolutely. But this, from the start, they're like placing innocent people under arrest and twisting their arms behind their backs and doing all kinds of like nutso stuff. So it didn't, if we had had time to watch that and be like, oh no, what is happening? It would have been much more satisfying, especially the one guy that looks like Russell Crowe that's just cruel the second we meet him. But then at the end they save him. I was like, why are you saving this guy? He's terrible.
He's a jerk, and he's they
don't just save him; they just completely let him off. It's like,
exactly.
Like,
oh, you tried to kill me, but hey, that's okay. Exactly.
But
you were just following Sir George's thoughts.
That's what's unclear about this. There are some that are like completely taken over, and there are other, and you don't know who's who. Like, who's taken, like. Is everybody taken over, or is it affecting everybody? Is it just affecting a few people? And the fact that you've got some people who are not affected, like Tegan's grandfather and Jane, it's like, well, why are they exempt? And they really didn't think it through.
See, that would have been great. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was just going to say, I took it, or the way I saw it, was that the magistrate was the only one who was truly possessed by malice. Yes, and that everybody else was just whipped up by his magistrate-ness. I don't know. I didn't feel like anybody else was actually possessed, that they were just weak-minded and following him along. Because he had the one guy, the colonel, that kind of didn't, like, he was going along with it, but he wasn't being mean and roughing people up. He was reluctant about the whole thing.
Exactly. And he was like, oh, this is just all for fun. And exactly. And that's what it should have been. That's where I was going to go. It could have been even Tegan's grandfather, or at the beginning, helping them set up, because he's a historian. That would have made more sense. And then all of a sudden, he's getting to the Sir George is getting, starting to get a little freaky, and, throw him into the prison, that would have explained more of the story. And it wasn't, that's what I think we were missing. That could have been a whole nother episode right there.
We should have seen the crack happen in the church rather than finding it already cracked.
Right. And when the doctor and his crew turned their back, the smoke started coming out of it and everything.
Which all that was very cool. Like Mike said, I love that, like, Legends of the Hidden Temple, the fact of it slowly pushing through the wall. Like, that was all cool.
There's a sequence where at the end where Sir George has got his back up against the face of Malice with his gun and everything, and there's smoke and everything, and the green eyes, and it looks badass. It looks like one of the most badass images that's ever been on Doctor Who. And you're like, whoa, like you see that image and you're thinking this story is going to, kick ass, but doesn't.
I would have. I actually wanted to see Malice eat, Sir George, devour him or something. I thought that would have been more.
I think they
fun.
got as close to that as technology allowed.
Yeah. I think they just weren't able to do something like that.
Crawl into his mouth.
Exactly.
Probably wrote it as he was get it eaten, but no.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with Tegan and her grandfather, by the way, is in there, and it's the reason that they're visiting. But in some ways, that doesn't make much sense either, because to me anyway, because throughout this time period, I feel like the doctor's always trying to get Tegan home, but missing, and yet he can nail exactly like the time and place where her grandfather's going to be. I'm like, well, that's kind of frustrating, but and then we don't get to meet him really, or spend time with the two of them, or anything of that nature. It doesn't. It feels empty. It feels just like it's just another NPC, really.
Yeah, they did not show any like family type emotion at all when they were finally reconnected.
Oh,
It's just
grandfather,
like, yeah, there's no chemistry at all there. It's like it is not believable that
Nope.
that they are any kind of family, or at least not any kind of family that cares about each other.
Yeah, I wanted to see him have total attitude and mouth off at everybody. Then I would have believed he was Tegan's grandfather,
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't or uncle. Yeah, grandfather. Yeah.
Grandfather, yeah.
I don't know Tegan's heritage, but I thought she was from New Zealand or Oz or something. I didn't. I was like, why is her grandfather here?
Yeah, isn't she supposed to be from Australia?
She's Australian, yeah.
Well, people in other countries travel a little bit more than we Americans do.
Yeah.
But they don't say anything about, like, they don't define it,
They didn't have time.
I know that you're right about that. They didn't.
Yeah.
Like, we only got 20 minutes.
No, and it was
even
funny
the
as
whole
hell.
like Queen of the May thing is very rushed.
Yeah.
It's like you're not. It's hard to care that they're going to burn her
Put the
alive.
costume on. Now
'Cause
burn
it's
her.
so-
I'm like, oh,
right.
okay.
And then
And that was another thing that could have used a slow build to, that's what they're doing. Instead, it just kind of felt like all of a sudden that was happening. Like they could have done a real Wicker Man thing there, and it would have been much more interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why I think, to me, if I was, writing it or whatever, I would have probably had it so that Malice was affecting everybody gradually. And so that's what was causing everybody to want to, burn her at the stake. And I thought, and then we see our main characters, since they just arrived, fighting it off throughout the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
That would have been really intriguing, I think. But we don't.
Yeah, imagine
we don't-
Turlo like kind of getting swept up with it, and at one point we're like, "Oh my gosh, is he just gonna burn her?" Because this guy straight up just busts through a door, Kool-Aid Man style, at one point. I want more of Turlo. I know you guys are not fans. I like the Tegan and Turlo combo.
Well, it looked like that door was balsa wood, as he was busting through it.
Mike, this is Doctor Who.
I
Everything is balsa wood.
yeah, it was
I
balsa
know.
wood.
But it's interesting what you said, Dave, because how it would have been great if everyone was being affected by Malice and everything. There's a TV show on Apple Plus now. It's called Pluribus, and
No spoilers. I'm only like 3 episodes in.
No, but
And I haven't started it yet.
It's basically, the story is, and I'm not going to spoil anything. Everyone on Earth is pretty much becomes a hive mind because of a virus. And it basically, there's 13 people who are immune to it. That's the storyline. And, you should have had something like that with this storyline. I think would work really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything. So I definitely think it could have been so much better. But, I read the book years ago, but this was the first time seeing it. So it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it was my first time seeing it as well. Everybody's first time?
Yeah,
Yeah, mine.
Mhm. Wow.
probably the
So
last time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be the last time for me. It'll
It was
definitely be the last time.
it would I don't see myself rushing back. I might watch it, once I get the Blu-rays just to see what restorations they do and everything of it, and how they enhanced it. But it's funny. Will kept on reminding me, oh, they have a Adric type character now, but I think Will was about a zillion% better than Adric ever was.
Wow.
Oh,
Poor
I
Adric.
forgot about this Adric bashing that goes on here. Another one of the reasons I left.
I know he was your favorite, dude.
Well, whoa, hang on.
But
No, it's all right. You can come clean.
exactly.
This is a safe space.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I like Adric. No. So yeah, it was interesting. It was weird. Just he was the only character from the past to actually come through. It would have been great if they would have had more people coming through from the past, like bleeding through or something. I think that would have been a neat thing also. But
Yeah, I mean, another thing that
you only had 2 episodes. Yeah, that's all you'd have.
right.
And a
Another
limited
thing
budget.
that would have been great to develop more is show more of that original instance of malice. Like as the story goes on, tie that in a little more than they did, and also the idea, because we got to remember the core concept here is that the Civil War is what gave Malice power in the first place. That psychic collision of those forces is what gave him that power, and the whole point of the reenactment and him whipping them up is to recreate that. But with the reenactment, we didn't really have 2 forces in the way that the Civil War did. As Mike, Mike Gordon, I think you said this initially, is that there are a lot of really great concepts that just you either don't catch because there's not much to them, or they just don't get fleshed out.
Exactly. I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
I would
mean, when
like
it
to
first
see a
started-
remake.
When it first
Did they-
started, I got this sort of folk horror vibe, like Hammer, or even some of the other stuff that was done in the 70s in Britain over there, like that folk horror. You mentioned Wicker Man, something like that. Like it kind of like started with that vibe, and I was like, oh, but then it by the end of the first part, that was gone.
Yes.
When the doctor is in front of the wall, just
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just like
Dude.
then the whole it's like a whole cliffhanger, like what happened to him? And then you come back and it's like, oh, he just backs away, he's fine. He just inhaled a little smoke and he's fine.
It's just a little headache.
Exactly. Well, if it was a Pertwee episode, there would be a tentacle around the doctor's neck or something like that.
yeah.
Exactly.
Or he would have. I thought he was going to turn around and have like green eyes and be
Which
possessed by
would have been
malice.
awesome.
Yeah,
Which would have been
more
awesome.
Yeah,
interesting.
but that would have been a whole
Yes.
different second episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did they ever say how Sir George actually found Malice or got possessed by him?
I think the grandfather did mention it, like he showed him something or something.
Yeah,
like
the
Yeah.
grandfather finds
Mallet,
it.
and Sir George was like, "This is really cool," and he really went all in on it. Yeah,
But I think it's just a throwaway line where he
Yeah, it is.
says,
Yeah.
I'm the one
Yeah.
that told him about malice. And then they're like on to the next thing.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Like I
that's
thought
crazy.
they missed a chance with Will because I thought when they said, "Oh no, he's not a psychic projection," I was disappointed because I thought, well, no, that would actually be interesting because then we could explore: is he a person? Do you count
Yeah.
him? Is the doctor going to treat him like a person if he's quote unquote just a psychic projection? But here he is. He apparently has gained some sort of sentience. So that would have been interesting to explore, but of course it went nowhere because they just
Nope.
completely they basically threw every good concept out in the second episode and, went nowhere
Right.
with anything.
No, agreed. It had so much potential. And, I hate to say it, I think it could have been easily 3 episodes. Very much so. But, I enjoyed the story when I read it originally, so I wish I could have said the most about this. But do we have any final thoughts before we go ahead and review it? Rate it.
My favorite line from the two-parter comes from the doctor. Unfortunately, it's stolen, but it's still cool. when he's talking to Sir George and his cronies, and one of them says to him, it says to him, "You speak treason," and he says fluently. It's a
Yes.
great line.
That was a good
I
line.
love
And,
that. That was
but it's
awesome.
stolen. It's lifted from the Adventures of Robin Hood. So it's lifted from that movie, but it's still a cool line. So I dig that. But
Awesome.
but otherwise, yeah, no.
I've got a couple of notes from the special features, which are, once you get the Blu-ray or if you have the DVD, they're worth watching. So remember before when we mentioned that Peter Davison punches a horse? They're in this horse-drawn cart rushing back to the church, and the doctor and whoever's with him at the time hop out of the cart because they can't get the horse to go through the lich gate to the church. It's, if you don't know, a lich gate is a little construct.
It's like an arbor. It's an arbor or an arch, but it's stone.
Yeah. And they couldn't get the horse to go through it, so they changed the scene to where it stopped in front of the lich gate, and everybody got out. And as they're running through, Peter Davison has to elbow the horse in the head to get it out of the way so they can get through.
Yeah.
Well, the full scene of that, after they go through, the horse follows them through the lich gate and pulls the whole thing down. So, and it's hilarious, and it's easily accessible on YouTube because it became the go-to blooper for the BBC for years. It won the Golden Egg Award, and Peter Davison himself showed up to accept that award. It's actually a very well-known blooper, so track that down.
Yeah,
and then
we should point out, Dave, that it was used by the BBC Safety as an example of how not to film scenes with animals.
Yes.
Also, not how to not interact with the animals.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And as of 2011, the Malice prop still exists.
Wow.
It was purchased by a fan for £3,500, and he has it on his living room wall.
I would.
Wow.
That's great.
That's
awesome.
That is awesome. That would be a great conversation piece.
I hope
really.
it's still there.
Yes.
Because that thing is
cool.
probably just made of styrofoam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Parts are falling
I'm
off
sure.
of it.
Yeah.
Well, the feature, because they do a whole feature about how they created it and how it works and everything, is really, really interesting. I mean, it's a giant puppet, obviously, but it was a fun feature. And then the fact that somebody out there at the time, had the opportunity to buy it was really cool.
I hope they rigged it with the fog machine.
That would be awesome.
That would be
I know.
great.
It's interesting too, because I know one of the props for the Malice prop was also at the Doctor Who Experience in Cardiff. So it'll be it's probably, I'm sure they had multiple ones,
Oh no, they probably just had the one. I imagine maybe they bought it back from the fan or because this was
2000 lent it to them.
Yeah.
Perhaps because this was
Donated.
2011, so who knows?
Right. So it's cool because I've seen pictures of it at the experience when it was open in Cardiff. So that's pretty cool though. God, can you imagine what coming in and, hey, you got to see this. You got to see this. All right. Don't come in the room yet. And they come in the room now, and the fog is coming out, the smoke's coming out of its mouth, the eyes are green. It's like, oh, that would be awesome. And following you around would even be cooler, So all right, kids.
Dave mentioned the Matt Smith era, and of course that was on my mind. When they go in the church and you see this big crack, I was like, "Hey,
yes,
it's the crack."
The shape was
I thought
very
the same
similar,
exact
if not the
thing.
same.
I thought the same exact thing. It's like I was waiting for silence will fall,
So
or something.
it's interesting. I don't know if anybody's ever thought to tie those in, but I mean, it does sort of have similar properties. So, it maybe missed opportunity there, but or
Exactly.
I don't know if it was an unintentional homage, but I still thought of it.
It's pretty cool, kids. All right, if we're ready, 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Dave, you're our guest tonight. You get to go first.
Oh man, it's tough. I can't rate it on its potential, so I just got to be. I'm going to give it the same number of TARDISes it has episodes. I'm going to give it a 2. I would love to rate it higher, but as we've thoroughly discussed, there was so much potential that it just didn't reach.
I don't disagree with that. Mr. Gordon.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. A 2 as well, because it just is not anything that I'm going to revisit. And I don't think anybody has revisited this. I don't think anything from this appears anywhere else in Big Finish or anything else like that. Like maybe the crack was an inspiration. We don't know, but outside of that, yeah, there's not much here. So the concept still is kind of cool though. So I would love to see it kind of played out and fleshed out better. Maybe that can be done at some point, but
Nope. Understandable. All right, Mary.
Oh boy. I think I'll be kind of generous, sort of, and give it a 2.5. And that's really mostly because of the actors. I'll give it a half point just because the actors are trying so hard and when they are given very little to work with. And also, I'd like to know where all the other women in the village went because I think Jane's the only one we ever see.
No,
So I
you
think the other
you
ones
actually
just
see them.
Oh,
They
you see
were
a couple of them at
Throwing
the,
the rose
at the
petals.
throwing the rose
burning.
petals. Yeah, at the
Yeah,
burning.
but everybody else is just noped right out of there, and
But-
I don't blame them.
but to Mary's point, they do seem to have an issue. Like, oh, if Jane can't be the queen, then we're kind of stuck. What are we going to do?
Right.
And then it's like,
There's
oh well,
no other women within a 50-mile radius.
exactly. Oh, Tegan, one just popped up. Good.
The village of bachelors. Yes.
So that was either that or they were all like, yeah, no, we're not into
No.
that in reenactment, and they just stayed home.
Yeah.
Exactly. You play with your stupid swords and bow and arrows and exactly go ride horseback, but I'm going to be here. All right, Mel, what's up?
I guess I'm going to be the most generous of them all. I'm giving it a 3 down the middle. I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. There wasn't enough episodes for this to be painful. So I'm rating it well for that. I can't complain that it needs to be tightened up when it could be fleshed out. But yeah, I don't know if I actively go and rewatch this, but if it was on, I might leave it on in the background because, like I said, it wasn't painful. It was actually just a fun little Doctor Who story. And I have seen some painful 5s where I don't like them at all. So if I find somebody that's like me and it's like not the biggest 5 fan, I'll show them this one and go, it's not that bad.
Okay.
Yeah, at least Adric's not in it, right?
No, Adric.
Exactly. No, Adric. All right. I'm going to give this a 2.5. The half comes from that at least it wasn't in a quarry, So,
Go on location.
yes.
That's
So
fair.
yeah. So it was nice to see a little town, and it was funny because at first they thought, "Are we back in this? Did the TARDIS mess up? Are we back in the 1600s?" And then people had there was the telephone box, there was the the TV antennas on the houses, and it was like nope. And so at least they weren't trying to hide it or something like that. So will I go back? Like I said, I'll probably maybe rewatch it when it's on Blu-ray, but that's about it. So we'll see. So folks, what did you guys think at home? Did you like it? Did you not? Definitely would love to hear from you guys. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to do it. And as always, we do appreciate when you guys do write us. It's always great. We did get an email from our friend Peter. That's right. Peter dropped us a line about Snare and the last days of the Pal Estate. That was the Ninth Doctor and Rose, of course, doing the Big Finish story. He wrote, "Hi, gang. I really enjoyed the discussion from last week. I went ahead and bought Snare in the last days of the Pal Estate based on your ratings, but have not been able to listen to them yet." Peter, come on.
It's okay.
Hope everyone had a safe and happy Thanksgiving, Peter. That was
Aw.
nice.
Oh, thank you, Peter.
And you as well.
Thank you,
too.
Peter. Happy holidays to you and to all our listeners. We do appreciate each and every one of you. So,
Yes, so much.
yes, a lot of folks were asking if we're going to be, reviewing The War Between the Land and the Sea. We've decided that we're going to wait till it's on Disney. We are going to,
I mean, we'll
wait
review
for
it
that.
Eventually.
Yeah. So, as soon as we see it, you guys will hear it from us. So it'll, we'll probably end up doing like weekly shows again when it's being aired, or if Disney's just going to say, heck with it and throw the whole thing up. I hope they don't. I hope they do something right, because I hope they do what the UK is doing first week, episode 1 and 2, second week, 3 and 4, and then 5 on its own, because I think that's supposed to be supersized anyway. So, it'll be very interesting to see what people think of it. And we definitely want to hear what you guys have been up to with, Doctor Who and the as we're calling it, the new wilderness years. So it's awesome with that. All right, kids, let's wrap this up. Let's thank our crew for being here. Dave, so good to see you again, my friend.
Great being here.
Anything you want to promote?
Of course, you can find me on the Needless Things YouTube channel talking about all kinds of pop culture, and specifically on Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast talking about G.I. Joe. Follow me as Phantom Troublemaker on Instagram, and also Needless Things channel on Instagram.
Awesome. I was wondering if you still kept the Phantom Troublemaker up there and everything. So it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Let's thank our regulars for being here. Of course, Mr. Mike Gordon, we made it through another one, sir.
We did, and as always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote or talk about?
In addition to the other podcasts that you can find me on, which is Bat Chums, and we review the Batman series from the 60s, as well as the Dragon Con Report. I've ventured into a new realm of podcasting and video casting. You can find me on YouTube, and I believe audio podcast will follow. I'm not sure if it's been released yet, but we did our first episode of a podcast that's all about tiki. Yes, it's been something that people have said I should be part of for a long time now. So finally found the right people, which is Jen, who is also from the Dragon Con Report, as well as Jonathan Chaffin, who runs the Inuhele Horror and Clay Tiki thing that happens here at the beginning of the year. And we released our first episode introducing ourselves and sort of talking about the format and everything like that. So you can find that on YouTube and soon with wherever you get podcasts. So 3 Grog Night is the name of the podcast.
That is awesome. Can't wait to listen. All right, Mary, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you. Always fun talking to you guys.
How did your show go that you did, your art show?
It's still going on.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Tell us about it.
If you're local to Tallahassee, it is downtown Tallahassee at the Lemoyne Art Gallery. It goes on through the beginning of January. Lots of great art, lots of local artists, holiday gifts. I have sold painting, which I'm very happy about. And there's several great artworks there, so please come on by and find some very unique holiday gifts.
That is awesome. And your regular website is?
You can find me at mariogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Melanie, last but never least, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Anything you want to promote?
Meh.
Okay.
You can find me on Instagram, Pieces of Melee. Otherwise, you can find most of my stuff right now is for work, which is the stained glass and mosaic fun, and that is at diamondtechcrafts.com.
Yay. Good stuff, too. I've checked it out a couple times. Fun stuff. Awesome. You could always find me when I'm ever not here talking about Doctor Who. I am the producer and announcer for the Tales from Hollywoodland podcast. And you can find them wherever fine podcasts are found. Our newest episode just came out today, and we are talking about the films of John Hughes. So we are talking all about, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Home Alone, yada, yada, yada. And the movie I watch every Thanksgiving is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So it's always fun to do. It's a tradition. So definitely check it out, Tales from Hollywoodland. And I have a new project coming up soon, but I can't talk about it quite yet. So I'll let you guys know when it comes. So until then, of course, please check out our Facebook group, check out our Instagram, and while you're at it, like and subscribe. It'd be great. And if you feel very generous here at the holidays, why not join into the ESO Patreon? We've got a great crew up there, and we have new episodes. Actually, this week we have a new episode of ESO Board Silly going live. So it should be a ton of fun where you could hear the ESO board be bored and silly at the same time. It's always a good thing. And it's available only to our patrons. And you too could become a patron for as little as $1 a month. So why not check it out? On behalf of myself, Mike, of course, Mr. Gordon, Mr. West, Ms. Ogle, and Ms. Zine, we will see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Peace, and hope everyone has a great new year. Happy holidays, everyone. Ciao. Alonzi. Bye. Later.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.